Welcome back, everyone. I'm Justin,
I'm Kenneth,
and together we make up Team Diversity, aka
the old wooden ship.
Today, we're brought to you by Mind Games, UF 100 at Boise State University, and we're going to be focusing on brain games.
Beware, this is rated R for respect.
So, no negative comment, or we'll find you. Today, we're going to be focusing on questions that our viewers sent to us asking about brain games.
Not actually real viewers.
And our first question that comes from us from Brick Tamlin. First off, Brick, thank you for sending in your question. Do brain games really work? Is the question that he asked. Well, Brick, to answer that question, actually I have to go into Torkel Klingberg, who is the inventor of Lumosity, and also he sits on the assembly board for choosing the winners for the Nobel Prize towards physiology and medicine. So he's a pretty big deal. Anyway, he did a study that shows children that did brain games actually had an increase in memory and responses as far as shapes and colors. So I'm assuming that they were very young children that have not been in college yet, or not college, but in school yet. And so
they haven't been in college.
There are those few. So they showed significant improvement in memory and color shapes and everything as far as playing the game. He also did showed that there's brain training. They also showed that there's significant chemical changes in the brain, which correspond to improved working memory. Scientific America did a study also of 487 adult ages 60-ish to 97, worked through some brain games, and showed a significant auditory improvement of 58% of them. Literally, older people were able to listen and process the information a lot better. So in theory, yes, there's significant growths that show improvement in brain games.
Well, yeah, I mean, sure, there's changes, and you really can't deny that, but a lot of it is all focusing on either the really young or the really old populations. What about, everyone who's between, 4 and 97? The main problem with a lot of these mind games is that rather than focusing on changes in actual skills and really improving, the true functions of the brain, they just kind of focus on making you better at the games themselves. The real question here is, can these benefits be transferred over into real life? And the answer is clearly no, because that is my opinion on this. But that aside, there has been a fair amount of research done in this, and unfortunately it doesn't appear like a lot of these brain games are very popular with scientists. A couple of years ago, a group of more than 70 neuroscientists from around the world wrote an open letter stating that the major problem with almost any cognitive training study is that researchers only measure the improvement of skills such as memory based on an individual task within that whole brain game system. It's not really anything. They don't make a composite measurement of outside features. It's just how good are you at that game. They also expressed concern for a lot of the claims these organizations make, that they can help with Alzheimer's, that they can make your ADHD kid better again, which is all kind of disturbing. But so my question is, can we really say that the benefits of these brain games, the improvement you see in them, can these really transfer over to real life?
Well, that is a good question, which brings us to our second question brought to us by Veronica Livingstone. So, Veronica, question is, can the benefits of brain games transfer to real life? And, well, I'm actually going to explain something that our professor, Dr. Hudson, actually told us that he did for months at a time, Lumosity, and what he saw was that there were tricks of the trades that he picked up within the game that he was able to apply in real life that actually benefited him as far as like memories and even shopping lists and stuff like that. So
whether or not they could sourcing for you right there.
Well, they So what it shows is that yes, in certain ways that the games themselves actually do benefit you in real life. Whether or not they actually improve on memory and everything, there's still much to be said on it, and the study is still fairly new. Which brings us to our next question, which is sent in by Veronica Livingstone. First off, Veronica, thank you for watching the show, and thank you for sending in the question. Her question was, can the benefits of brain games transfer to real life? Well, Veronica, Florida State did a study with 77 undergraduates where they had to participate in a brain game and or entertainment-based games like Portal 2, and where they showed improvements in spatial awareness and memory base.
Well, now that's an interesting point you bring up because that study, the improvements shown weren't actually for lumosity. In fact, it showed a surprisingly small correlation. There was very little improvement for the students who actually wound up playing lumosity. They didn't, on the standardized testing they were using, their scores did not improve statistically at all.
Yeah, but Portal 2, they actually showed that they improved by quite a bit, and regardless of how you may look at it, in a way, that is a brain game.
Yeah, it's fake brain games.
So the answer to that, in my opinion, is I think I won that one. Yes, it can benefit you in a way, but I think that determines to the person whether or not how you apply it in your real life.
This brings us to our third and final question, brought to us by Mr. Ron Burgundy. And his question was, can these brain games, as advertised in some of them, actually slow down or prevent Alzheimer's? Because that is actually a major selling point. A bunch of studies have been done on this.
So what we actually found out, or what the study suggests, is that those elderly people who actually continue to play brain games delayed and slowed the symptoms of Alzheimer's.
However, as far as the actual symptoms of Alzheimer's, the study also made clear that once they showed up, they weren't going away, and in fact, they were getting substantially worse because of the increased brain stimulation from the increased activity from the games. Unfortunate as it is, it sounds like that once you hit that point of decline, you decline more rapidly. However, I must admit, it does clearly state that it did delay the onset of those symptoms by several years, so it may be worthwhile for nothing more than that.
So what we get out of this is pretty much just keep your mind mentally challenged, and therefore we can prevent or delay the devastating effects of Alzheimer's. What we did find out or see as a pattern is that those who are older and not constantly mentally challenging themselves benefited more substantially with the brain games versus those who are currently in school or has some kind of a mental challenge every day. So yes, the brain games can definitely improve your mental abilities as far as memory and spatial recognition if you don't do it on a daily basis. So considering all the information that is out there right now, the study is still fairly new, and there's a lot to be done and a lot to be said. So there's really no conclusion as to whether or not they really work or they really don't. I think it depends on the person and how they apply it to their daily lives.
Thanks for watching. We're Team Diversity, aka
Old Wooden Ship.
I'm Kenneth.
Justin. And we'll stay classy, boysy.